Anyone who was living in New Zealand in the 1990s and the 2000s would not have failed to notice the massive impact that Jonah Lomu had, not only on sports fans but on the wider community in this country. He was a man who came from very humble beginnings in Mangere, South Auckland, and rose to become the first ever global rugby superstar. He brought a lot of joy to New Zealanders, Mr. Speaker, and no one will ever forget his performance at Cape Town in the semi-final of the World Cup in 1995, when, to the great delight of all New Zealanders, he scored 4 tries against the English, ran right over the top of them, and asserted our primacy at the top of the rugby world, at least for a week. Jonah Lomu was a man whose achievements went way beyond rugby. He was a major inspiration to a whole generation of young Polynesian men, because Jonah proved that you could come from anywhere in New Zealand and make it to the very top. He was a man who was extremely generous with his time. He was a loving father. He gave generously to a wide range of causes, and he remains an inspiration not only to those who follow sport, but to anyone who is battling against the ravages of a chronic disease. Mr. Speaker, there'll only ever be one Jonah Lomu, and 100 years from now, when they name the greatest ever All Black team, he will still be the best ever number 11. We mourn his passing, and we know that he leaves behind Nadine, his wife, and 2 young sons, and our thoughts at this time are with those 2 little boys and their mother.
The question is the motion be agreed to. The Honourable Trevor Mallard.
Mr. Speaker, on behalf of the Labour opposition, I would like to join with the Minister and extend to Jonah Lomu's family our condolences, both to the immediate and to the extended family. Those of us who have been watching rugby for some time will remember him bursting onto the scenes at the 1994 Sevens in Hong Kong, and then following that in 1995, when, while there were 4 tries, it was the one that sat Mike Catt on his backside, was the one that we will remember the most over a period of time. Jonah went on to play a total of 63 caps, 63 All Black caps over his career. He played for a number of Super 15 teams. And I think the Minister is correct to say that a combination of international television, of Sky Sport, and the predominance of Adidas, frankly, meant that he went from being one of our stars to a world star. And that's something which I think was really important, especially given the fact that he was a Wesley College old boy and from South Auckland. I think it is also appropriate to place on the record our thanks to Grant Kiriyama for donating his kidney, for extending Jonah's life and the quality of the life. I don't totally agree with the Minister as to this being a major surprise. I think those of us who saw him in the stands, in the telly shots during the Rugby World Cup recently, saw a frailness that we hadn't seen for some time, and that was to a certain extent foreboding. Mr. Speaker, the Labour opposition supports the Minister and extends our condolences to Jonah Lomu's family.
Mr. Speaker.
Kevin Haig.
Mr. Speaker, I rise on behalf of the Green Party to join others echoing the comments made by the Minister and by Trevor Mallard, expressing our sadness and condolences to Jonah Lomu's family. Mr. Speaker, recently we have been celebrating the performance of our All Black team at the Rugby World Cup and of individual players within that team. But it is true that at no point, either now or at any point in the past, that any player has so dominated the sport of rugby as Jonah Lomu did and will continue to do in people's memories. Mr. Speaker, others have already mentioned that 1995 World Cup campaign, and in particular that that try involving the encounter with Mike Catt. But Jonah Lomu's fame, popularity and influence has extended far beyond the sport of rugby, and indeed, Mr. Speaker, far beyond the countries where rugby is played. He's become an icon for his strength, skill, determination, and as the Minister says, for his generosity also. He was often the last player to leave the field, still signing autographs for kids until the kids had gone. Mr. Speaker, I sit on the Health Select Committee, and we've recently been hearing about the ordeal that is dialysis, and that's an ordeal that Jonah Lomu has had to sustain for now many years. Mr. Speaker, the Green Party expresses our shock and our sadness and our deepest sympathy to Jonah Lomu's family and friends.
Mr. Speaker.
The Right Honourable Winston Peters.
Mr. Speaker, as Muhammad Ali was to boxing, so was Jonah Lomu to rugby. He was simply the greatest player we have ever seen. And anyone who had been lucky enough to be at the Sydney Sports Ground the time he first turned up, got the ball 70 metres out, sent Damien Smith flying and 3 other guys all the way to the corner and then gave the ball to Cronfield, then heard the buzz that no one will ever hear again so loud of Aussie admiration, which is not hard to get. And the Aussie sports field will never forget how good this man was. And to use Tina Turner's famous song, he was simply the best. It is a very sad day, tragically, because for much of his playing time towards the end, he was never fit, he was never really well, and we didn't see the best of him. Our condolences go out to his family, to the very special relationship he had with Tonga as someone that they owned, to Wesley College, his school, that he made seriously famous because of his athletic prowess, to the people of Mangere and South Auckland, but above all to all his friends and admirers all over the world.
The Honourable Te Urara Flavel.
Jonah Lomu, ko te toa o Tonga. Jonah Lomu, ko te tōtara o te moana nui a kiwa. Jonah Lomu, ko te ngākau ngāwari. Jonah Lomu, ko te pāpā ki ngā tamariki. E moi. I nanahi nei, kōrero o tēnei whare mo te hunga i wiwi, i mate, i te parekura nui, i tū ki reira. I tēnei rā, hoki mai ki te wā kāinga. He noho tata, te hunga mate o te wā kāinga, ki te hunga mate o tā wāhi. Ke tāi ai te ki, koutou o te mate, haere, whakangaru atu rā. Ka tangi ake ki aia me tana whānau, ko tana hoaranga tira, o tira, ko rātau o tonga e tangi nei tēnei rā. Nō ira, kāti ake, hurinua, kia ora tātou katoa. Mr. Speaker, I join with other speakers in saying what a sad day it is for Aotearoa. It was a bit of a shock to see the news coming over. And if I can just bring one other perspective to the House today. As an old boy of the greatest rugby school in the country, St. Stephen's School, Mr. Speaker, there's about 4 schools that my generation, my school, loved playing. Wesley College, Te Aute College, Church College, and others. But one, sir, was Wesley College, and I, in my day, played Wesley College, and because they're the closest, pretty much one of the closest schools to St. Stephen's School when it was alive, was always a very, very hard game. And I'm glad that I wasn't around in the generation that Jonah Lomu came through, because he brought a totally different perspective to the games that we have. In my day, Wesley College played our third 15. In his day, they played first 15. But I can say this, that from all the old boys of St. Stephen's School who think about the relationship that St. Stephen's had with Wesley College, we think about our Wesley brothers and sisters, we think about the Jonah Lomu's whānau, and we hope that the next couple of days will be easy on them as the whole nation mourns the death of a wonderful man who gave, as Minister said, not only to the rugby world, but actually to the nation by way of his donations and looking after our tamariki. Noera e moi, Jonah Lomu, te toa o te moana nui a kiwa.
Mr. Speaker.
David Seymour.
Well, I won't reflect on the previous speaker's choice of greatest rugby school in New Zealand, but I would like to join on behalf of the ACT Party with other leaders in expressing their condolences at this very sad time to the family of Jonah Lomu, and also to tribute such a tremendous man, such a freakishly great athlete, such an inspiring leader, and such a great ambassador for New Zealand. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The question is that the motion be agreed to. Those of that opinion will say aye. To the contrary, no. The ayes have it.